In this video, you will learn more specifics about features of Bluemix Platform as a Service components. We'll start off with a quick live session showing the Bluemix Web Interface and the service catalog. And then you'll hear more about services in Bluemix and the two types of services available for Cloud Foundry applications and other compute options in Bluemix. Next, you'll hear about the Cloud Foundry architecture in Bluemix, the capabilities of IBM Bluemix Container Service, and key components of OpenWhisk. Here's a view of the Bluemix Apps dashboard. Bluemix has a series of dashboards that are navigated through the left-hand menu item, Apps, Services, and Infrastructure for Bluemix Infrastructure Services. We'll stay here in the Apps dashboard for now. You'll see here organized in the Apps dashboard the Cloud Foundry apps. It also shows a Kubernetes cluster that I have deployed. And we also see here the list of services that are defined within this organization and space. Up in the upper right, there's a navigator here that lets you select your region, organization, and space. In the apps listing, you'll see the name of the app, the route, the memory instances, and its current running status. You also have some buttons over here on the right to be able to do application quick actions, like start, rename, or delete the application. Similarly for services, there's also some quick actions over here on the right-hand side. For example, renaming a service or deleting a service. Let's go over to the Bluemix catalog. Here's all the catalog of services that are available in Bluemix, including runtimes that are available for your application. You can type here in the search menu to search for a particular item, or you can use the left-hand navigation to pick a particular type of application, service, or go over to Bluemix Infrastructure. Let's just go over here to Bluemix Cloud Foundry apps. Here's a list of all the Cloud Foundry application runtimes that are available for Bluemix. And then down here is a list of all the services that are available for you to bind to your applications in Bluemix. And now let's learn a little bit more about services that are available within the Cloud Foundry environment and how they work with your application. Cloud Foundry defines two classes of services. Both of these are scoped to a specific organization and space. These services can be bound to Cloud Foundry applications and also used by other compute types within Bluemix through integration features of those compute platforms. One type is managed services. You've heard a bit about those before. These you will find in the Bluemix catalog, and there are over 130 from which to choose. They are developed by IBM, third parties, and you can also create them using the Cloud Foundry Service Broker API. These are published through the catalog and can be provisioned for use by either the Web UI or by using the CLI. A second and important class of service is user-provided services. It's a way to bring your own API or service to your Bluemix environment. These are used in two scenarios. The first being by adding a set of service credentials to an external service as a user-provided service. Then when the service instance is bound to the application, the credentials for the external service will also be available in VCAP services, just like other Cloud Foundry services. The second case is enabling the use of an external logging service. Protocols in addition to syslog can be specified if needed, depending on the external log service, including syslog over TLS or HTTPS. Cloud Foundry applications run inside a container architecture supported by a specific language runtime and surrounded by all the infrastructure necessary to host the application. Cloud Foundry applications provide a good architectural fit for developing web applications, RESTful APIs, and API-based mobile backends. Applications can be self-contained, or they can consume services from the Bluemix catalog or external services and APIs. Applications can be accessed using REST HTTP and WebSocket protocols. This allows the Bluemix infrastructure to easily provide horizontal scaling of applications through the request routing layer. As a developer, for deployment and other management tasks, you interact with and control your application through either the Bluemix Web UI or a command line interface. Here are some more details about capabilities of the IBM Bluemix Container Service. With security and privacy as top concerns, you may not want to store your containers in publicly accessible registry hubs. The IBM Containers service on Bluemix provides a private container registry that allows you to store your images on the cloud with the controls to ensure that no one else can access them. As soon as you deploy new containers, you're able to gain insight into CPU, memory, and network utilization per container, as well as access the latest log messages. For single containers, it is trivial to request an IP address and assign it to a container using Bluemix. After fully testing the app in your container, you can bind a public IP to it and then access the app on the internet. A key unique feature is the Vulnerability Advisor, which reviews container images in the Bluemix Container Registry for security issues. It evaluates OS package currency and also policy settings, for example, root SSH login enabled, and provides a report allowing the developer to investigate issues. They can choose to fix and repush a container image or adjust policy and deploy the current container image. Containers use an ephemeral storage model with temporary copy-on-write layer created at container application startup. Container volumes allow you to provide persistent storage to one or more containers running in a cluster. Data persisted in a volume can be backed up and restored through the CLI. The IBM Bluemix Container Service provides a lot of advantages for developers. Top ones include integration and binding to Bluemix managed services available in the Bluemix catalog, a set of IBM-provided container images for several runtimes and technology, and new support for Kubernetes clusters. Container groups are a feature of the Single Containers and Container Groups platform on the IBM Bluemix Container Service. Here's a diagram showing a range of container group options spanning from simple deployment through highly available configurations. A container group includes two or more containers that run the same image. You can use container groups for running long-term services with workloads that require scalability and reliability, or for testing at the required scale. Container groups can run within a single availability zone in one Bluemix region, or be spread across multiple availability zones, and even configured in different availability zones in two regions for the highest amount of availability and redundancy. Here's a more detailed diagram of OpenWhisk platform highlighting the key components. Actions. An OpenWhisk action is a piece of code that performs one specific task. An action can be written in the language of your choice. You provide your action to OpenWhisk either as source code or as a Docker image. An action performs work when revoked from your code via a REST API. Actions can also automatically respond to events from Bluemix and third-party services using a trigger. Triggers and rules. A trigger is a declaration that you want to react to a certain type of event, whether from a user or from an event source. Triggers fire when they receive an event. Events are always occurring, and it's your choice on how to respond to them. Rules associate one trigger to one action, and when the trigger fires, the action indicated by the rule executes. Sequences. A sequence is a chain of actions invoked in order, where the output of one becomes the input to the next. This allows you to combine existing actions together for quick and easy reuse. A sequence can then be invoked just like an action through a REST API or automated in a rule. Action runtimes. You can develop your actions in JavaScript, Swift, Python, and Java, or create a Docker container with your application code in another language. You can develop your code in the Bluemix Web-based interface or with your favorite development IDE and use the OpenWhisk CLI to upload it. So this concludes our overview of some of the key features of the Bluemix PaaS platform. Thanks for listening.